Anyone who knows me knows I love music, and I take it pretty serious. I built this speaker you see here and a matching one on the other side. There's a couple subwoofers down here you can just see the tops of. With the help of a couple friends, I built those. I arranged my office so that my chair is in the prime listening spot, right in the middle of those, and I end a lot of days just listening to music. Again, I really like it, and I think God's people have always liked music and realized, and God realizes how important it is. That's why an entire book of the Bible is the hymn book of the Old Testament. I'm talking about the book of Psalms. In one sense, you could consider it the original Christian music channel. Well, I hope you like this video over a psalm, and if so, then if you do me a favor and click the thumbs up, leave a comment, I always love that, and or share it on a social media site like Facebook, that would be a huge help. Thanks a lot. If I buy a TV and get upset because it won't boil water, what's the problem there? Where's the problem lie, with the TV or with me? Yeah, it's me, right? My expectations. Well, the same thing. When God doesn't meet our expectations, knowing what we know about Him and us, the problem lies with me and my expectations for Him. Now, it's very understandable though sometimes. We face a situation and we really think, hey God, I thought you being with me would look different. Well, what should we do when we face a situation like that? There's two things that we learn from Psalm 89. It's an interesting psalm. We don't know exactly when it was written, so we don't know the specific situation. All we know is that in the southern kingdom of Judah, that kingdom where David's descendants ruled, things were not going well at all. They were at a total low point. And Ethan the Ezrahite writes this psalm. We don't know anything about him. He breaks it up into three sections. He starts off by praising God, then he reminds God of his covenant with David, then he beseeches God, hey, can you help us here? Well, in that middle section where he reminds God of his covenant with David, he basically quotes from 2 Samuel 7, and so it's in the first person from God. And it says, I will not violate my covenant or alter the word that went forth from my lips. Once for all, I have sworn by my holiness, I will not lie to David. His offspring shall endure forever, his throne as long as the sun before me. Like the moon, it shall be established forever, a faithful witness in the skies. It's pretty clear. God says David's descendants will last on the throne forever. The very next verse, though, verse 38, Ethan writes, but now, talking to God, you have cast off and rejected. You are full of wrath against your anointed. You have renounced the covenant with your servant. Well, had God really renounced his covenant with David? Looking back, we realize he hadn't. They definitely went through some difficult times up to and including the exile. But God's promise of a descendant of David on the throne was and continues to be fulfilled by Jesus himself. God hadn't renounced his covenant, but when you read through some of that last section and get a feel for what they were going through, you can understand why Ethan felt that way. We can understand, and God understands why we feel this way. And so what are the two things we need to do? Well, the first one revolves around that. First of all, be honest with God. Let him know how you feel. Sometimes we think we have to hide our feelings from God. You know, he can't handle them. He doesn't know we have them anyway. No. You look, and some of the greatest heroes in the Bible had some very forthright declarations to God about how they felt, about how things were going on. Be honest with God. Don't hide it from him. You're not anyway. But the second thing to do then is be honest with myself. And what I mean there is when God's not meeting my expectations, examine my expectations honestly. What did I expect? And is there a reason to? Had God really promised what I expected? You read that passage there where Ethan reminds God of his covenant, and he quotes even God's own words that says, I'll keep a descendant of David on the throne no matter what. But if one of those descendants is unfaithful, I will bring discipline. I will bring punishment. God had done it, but apparently it lasted longer than he thought. It included more than he thought, whatever it was. And the same thing is true for us. God has made some promises. Jesus said, I will be with you always. That doesn't give a lot of details, does it? There's a similar verse in this psalm. Ethan asked, how long, O Lord, will you hide yourself forever? Had God hidden himself from them? No, but Ethan expected that God not hiding himself would look different. We often expect Jesus being with us will look different. Maybe we know the extreme is wrong. That's common today. I know this idea of I'll be healthy and wealthy if I just have enough faith. And so we know that's wrong. And so we definitely aren't that extreme, but we think, all right, I won't always be healthy, but I won't be unhealthy this young. I won't be this unhealthy. It won't last this long. I won't be wealthy, but I won't face this much difficulty. I won't lose my house. It won't last as long. That's a big one that comes up. We know we'll face trials. Okay, the Bible makes that clear. But we sometimes think, well, why are they taking so long? I know I'll face it, but God, it's going on too long. Well, had God promised a certain duration? No, He hasn't. He's just said, I'm with you always. I will be there. He hasn't given us details. And so when God doesn't do what we expect, be honest with myself. God is what I expect, what you've said. Or have I just inferred, oh, this certainly is reasonable. We are going to face difficult times. Everyone does. Followers of Christ even more so. Be honest with God. Tell Him how you feel, but then be honest with yourself. God, where did my expectation come from? Is it directly from you or just something I'd like to be there? And you'll realize God is with us always, even when He's not doing. It doesn't look like what we'd like it to.